Hi, Aries. Welcome to your June 2018 Astro Update. My name is Raina. And in June, Aries, there's a lot of emphasis in your third house of communication, as well as the fourth house of home and family. So the third house not only deals with the internet and writing and teaching, learning, but it also deals with your siblings, so your brothers and sisters. Yeah, I also heard cousins. If they are like siblings to you, then that might even be apropos for what I'm about to say. But the fourth house is the house of home and family, including your family of origin, and can relate to your mother specifically. And there may be a lot of talking between you and some family members in June for whatever reason. Now, the sun in the third house until the solstice time on the 21st means that you have kind of like this lighthearted attitude that we associate with Aries. You may be more sociable, especially internet-based, doing a lot of reaching out that way. And Mercury rules this house. Mercury is going to be in that house until the 12th of the month. So this ups the ante in that sense and really emphasizes you wanting to communicate something to other people. And Mercury is also any kind of contracts. So with the third house, if you're signing something related to, like, let's say you want to start a YouTube channel and you have to sign the contracts for AdSense, or maybe you're dealing with something to do with an inheritance and you need to get your brothers and sisters' signature on something. But then the energy moves to the fourth house on the 12th, and you are communicating with your mother, with real estate agents perhaps, dealing with a housing matter. I have to say, too, that the third house can be your local area. So with Mercury there, you may be researching other areas to live, you know. So there's a lot going on with this desire to express yourself verbally or with the written word. And then you are thinking more of the past. And you might become nostalgic for some reason. Venus is starting the month in that fourth house, going into the fifth house on the 13th. So Venus, until the date of the 13th, in that fourth house, can indicate that some Aries people are beautifying their house. And this could be because you plan to sell it. However, Venus can also bring money wherever she travels. So perhaps you have already gotten the proceeds on a house, and that's what it represents for you. So something could get, ruffled feathers could get smoothed over when Venus is in this house. So if there's any kind of situation going on that is a little bit contentious, and Mars is not here, but that doesn't guarantee that you're not having any kind of conflict, then Venus in the fourth house can give that harmony. And on the 13th, Venus goes into your fifth house. Now, this is the house of romance, Aries. So this is a situation where you may have some kind of love affair. I think that until the new moon, which is occurring in that fifth house down the road, it may just be that you are smitten by somebody, not that you're necessarily in a relationship with them. But the fact that Venus has been traveling through that fourth house, for some people, this could be a love that you kind of develop with somebody from your hometown or who is connected to your past. So that can be very interesting. And Venus, again, with the money angle, could bring you proceeds from the business that you own, as well as any creative projects that you are selling. On that same day, the 13th, there's a new moon at 22 degrees of Gemini, and this is falling in your third house of communication. So, new beginnings in the area of internet and related modes of expression. This could involve an online business, a website, a blog. If you have started a training program, maybe you're getting some kind of certificate so that you can improve your skills. And you're starting this program at this time. On the 18th, Neptune begins a retrograde period, and this is your 12th house, Aries. So this is the house that Neptune rules in Pisces. And Neptune retrograde tends to bring illusions into the light of day, or shall I say, tends to expose things that are illusions or delusions on the person's part. The 12th house is ruled by Pisces and its ruler Neptune. So to have Neptune in this house is kind of a double whammy of Piscean Neptunian influence. And so if there's some kind of denial that you have been engaging in, Aries, that deals with your own bad habits, this could be a time when they are stripped bare, where you realize you have an addiction. The 12th house can be the house of addictions or the house of self-undoing. The things that we do that trip us up, and maybe you have been kind of shoving something under the rug, and it comes out to stare you in the face and forces you to face it. It forces you to act on it, and this is a good thing. On the 21st, we have the sun going into Cancer, which is a fellow cardinal sign to you, and this is your 4th house of home and family. The solstice time, depending on in which hemisphere you live in, it's either the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere or shortest day in the southern hemisphere. So it's one of those times of change. Just like your sign Aries in March is the advent of either spring or fall, depending on where you live. This is another time of change. And for you, the sun going into the 4th house increases that sentimental attitude that you've had since Mercury has been in there. And you are kind of immersed in the past, which is pretty uncharacteristic, I would say, for Aries, because you tend to be very forward-looking and acting. But this can give you that nostalgia. And if this is related to a love situation, it might be that you have reconnected with somebody that you grew up with, and this is a romantic connection. On the 26th, Mars goes retrograde at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And for you, this is very important, Aries, because during this retrograde period, which will last until August 27th, Mars is going to dip back into your 10th house of career when it goes back into Capricorn. So this is going to have some kind of an effect where you are redoing something or revisiting something from your past that relates to your career ambitions. And it may even bring up within you the question of whether or not you're expending your energy in the wrong place. But for now, Mars is retrograding in your 11th house of hopes and wishes. And this is also the house of friendships and the groups that you may belong to. And anytime that you have this personal planet retrograding, people from the past may come back into your life. And this can also be true for this house represents your friendships. So you may find an old friend comes back, but then it's like, have you solved whatever the problem was that kind of pulled the two of you apart? And the same thing goes for a group that you used to belong to that may seem alluring, and yet as the retrograde continues, you may realize that the conflicts are not necessarily able to be resolved because you're just too far apart. However, there may be times when it does work out, and it is something that you can feel good about. And likewise, about hopes and wishes. Perhaps there was something you put on the shelf that you really wanted to accomplish, a long-held dream of yours, and now you're thinking about it again. You're really wanting to act on it. And if it's something worth doing, it will all come together. I think for Aries, one of the things you have to remember is not to impose your will on the universe, because Aries has two things going on with it. First of all, you are a sign of action. You're not the sign of sitting around chewing the fat and talking about things that you have no intention of really doing. You do jump in the fray and you do try to make things happen in your life. But sometimes you have to look at whether or not your efforts are yielding results. And this is the retrograde period. Things that you have really put energy into, are they flowing? And if there's some kind of a blockage, is it because of one specific situation that is not dependent on the universe? If it's just like some kind of a temporary, I don't know what you'd call it, like a standstill, but it will happen in the future? Or are you kind of barking up the wrong tree? And that's where I think Aries people sometimes go awry, where they're trying so hard to make something happen that they don't check in with the universe to see if the things are flowing, if doors are opening for them, if they're making progress. If they don't get that progress, it's like they double down. And for instance, if there's some kind of a group or networking that you need to do to accomplish your goals, Aries, and you're not met with a receiving audience, the question is, are you going to double down and try to force them to accept you, or are you going to put your efforts elsewhere? Sometimes we have to surrender to whatever it is that we're trying to make happen that we can't seem to do so. And Aries is so impatient to see the results that they can easily try to, strong arm someone into, bending to their will. And then on the 28th, we have a full moon in Capricorn, another cardinal sign, and this is in your 10th house of career. So this could be a time of recognition for Aries people. Remember what I said about Mars retrograding in this house later this summer, in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, in the next couple of months, is a better way of putting it. This may indicate that you achieve recognition at this time, but then you have to still tweak your efforts come whenever, probably like late August, whenever Mars goes into Capricorn. You may have to kind of adjust your way of acting in order to make things happen to the fullest extent. But there may be like this culmination, which is what the full moon can bring, of your efforts, crystallizing of your efforts, that brings you the recognition that you deserve. This can also involve some sort of promotion for you. Okay, well, that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that you liked this, and I wish you all the best in June. If you enjoy this kind of interpretation and want it personalized, tailored to your particular astrological makeup with your natal chart, I will be linking the natal chart interpretation that I offer, which is a 70-minute reading, and it covers both analyzing your personality traits and patterns, as well as looking at the astrological trends for the next 12 months in various areas of your life. Okay, take care. Bye.